Hello everybody, this is HG Shaves here. I'm back with another video. Hope everybody's doing well, or if you're not, you're quickly healing and or recovering. I don't know about you, but I've just started to get some of the Black Friday shaving purchases in, and so naturally those things sort of kind of get moved forward in the queue. And I guess the first purchase I made during Black Friday that I'll be reviewing here is this razor from Maggard Razors. The slant head here is normally, I think, 20 bucks retail, and it was on sale during Black Friday for $8. And I know that a lot of my fellow shaving buddies also bought this head because of the discount. And so I figured it might be a good time to do a review of this because so many people are just receiving this and maybe have never used it before, and perhaps I can provide some perspective. Not to say that this is a new razor, but there haven't been many recent reviews of this razor on YouTube from what I can tell. The handle here is the MR11, also from Maggard, stainless steel razor handle. I think this retails for $16, and great grip. Kind of reminds me of the Rockwell 6C handle, if you're familiar with that one, but this is stainless steel, whereas the 6C handle is just all chrome. So that'll be the razor. I'll be talking to you about that. The next exciting thing that we have today is Restore from Mammoth Soaps. So this is the first Mammoth soap I've ever tried, with the exception of a penny sample I tried over the summer. And this is the first full tub I've been able to acquire. So Mammoth prides itself in raising funds and awareness for the human trafficking issues that we face, specifically here in the US, but of course it's a worldwide issue. And so the red here and the Restore title, it's supposed to be referencing Restore NYC, Restore New York City, which is some sort of charitable foundation that works to restore human rights and trafficking, things like that, within the New York City area. And the red is also based on their logo, from what I understand. So the scent on this, the soap looks like this is the newest Tusk base, which I'll get into in a bit. But the scent is kind of it's 5 notes. It's rose, fig, mandarin, vetiver, and honey. That's what it is. So as Ben, the owner, says himself, the honey makes the rose kind of not too dry and florally, and the vetiver kind of balances it out. There's not too much mandarin in here, maybe just a touch, and then the fig kind of gives it a fruity scent, and I think it's a really nicely blended scent. The red, of course, makes me think of the rose, and I'm definitely a fan of rose, and this is definitely one of my new favorites that features the rose note. So love that scent, and we'll be talking more about the soap as we continue. And then finally, the last item I'd like to introduce, I just have soaking here, letting some water come out. This is a Wolf Whiskers brush that I picked up on Buy Sell Trade. And as you can see, it's a very interesting pour. I basically think he did it as 2 pours. This is one, and then this is the other, kind of 2-in-1. Something I just noticed this a couple days ago. It's got these blue accents here that I didn't notice previously. It's got a SHD knot, as so many of the Wolf Whiskers knots do. And as you can see, very jelly, dense, soft brush. The tips are some of the lightest I've seen on these badger knots, which generally implies that it's going to be jelly and soft. Doesn't always mean that, but in this case it definitely is. And this brush has been wonderful to use this week. I really enjoyed the knot, and of course the handle. I mean, what can I say? Wolf Whiskers is one of the best in the market in that respect. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get my face wet, load up the soap, and I'll bring you back in when I'm about to start the face lather. We're back after about a 30-second load straight off the tub, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a little water on the top of the brush before I start my face lather here. As I mentioned, this is the newest base from Mammoth, the Tusk base. It's definitely getting high praise from the people that I've been in touch with, and it's certainly impressed me this week, primarily just because it's been very easy to work with. And while it's easy to work with, that doesn't mean that it's like a simple soap by any means. It has beef tallow in it, also has duck fat, which I'm not used to seeing both of those together. Usually it's either one or the other, right? And it's also got lanolin, it's got some silk protein in there, I believe. And yeah, it's a really, you know, as you've come to expect with the artisan offerings in 2020, it's just really terrific in that way. Great slickness, poche feel, all those things. Definitely one of the more impressive soap bases I've used in the past couple months. And so more about this brush. As you can see, it's very easy to splay, and when I do splay it, it just feels like a very soft knot that's working the lather into my beard. There's no scrub or scritch or anything like that. And it's definitely higher lofted than, for example, the Declaration knots that I usually talk about on this channel. And it seems like the higher loft actually is something, I've learned this year that I do prefer a little bit higher loft, especially with these dense badgers, just for the backbone factor. You know, I don't like something that has too much backbone. And of course, the higher you loft your knot, any kind of knot, the less backbone it's going to have. I should say with these Whiskers Maggard SHD knots, which of course you can request, you know, you can ask Peter to do it for you as like a custom, you know, have him make you a handle and then tell him to put in the SHD, but also they sell, they do drops on Maggard's website where Peter sends them, you know, brushes that already have these knots in them. And so with that being said, because they're usually lofted pretty high, I would recommend, if you're gonna get one, you go one size lower than whatever you usually prefer. So this is a 26mm knot at the base, but because of the high loft, it feels more like a 28 or a 30. And I've definitely used brushes like that before that, you know, say I usually prefer a 28mm knot, and then I get it and it's lofted really high or something, and then it makes it feel even bigger. So, you know, if you're usually a 26mm guy, maybe get a 24mm in these Maggard SHD Wolf Whiskers collaboration brushes. So just my 2 cents about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working in the lather here, and I'll bring you back in when we're ready to shave in just a second. Okay, here we are about to go for pass one with the Maggard Slant. Inside of it, I've got a old Polsilver Wizamet blade. And yeah, I'll start talking to you more about the razor now. So this, like many modern slants, is based on a vintage one. And I wasn't quite familiar with the model when I saw it. Looked like it was maybe from the 30s or something like that. And this razor seems to be hit or miss for people. I know some people who say works great, think it's a great budget slant option, which I also think it is. And then there are also people who think the opposite, think it's not a good razor at all, and you shouldn't give this to a beginner, things like that. And so for me this week, this razor was, well, a little bit of both. So on my first pass, it was pretty consistently, you know, every time I shaved this week with this razor, which by the way, we're working on 2 days growth now, which is different than what I have been doing the past couple months. All my first passes with this razor this week were totally fine. Like, and even now, this feels totally fine. It's not overly harsh feeling at this point, and it definitely has the slant, you know, feeling. Like, it definitely feels like it's cutting differently than a typical razor would. Which those are good things. But then as I progress with the passes, start going across the grain, against the grain, that's where it starts to get a little bit rough for me. Some people say that they have blade alignment issues with this. Maggard actually says it in the item description, like, be careful when you load in the blade. I didn't find it to be a huge problem, but the one thing to know, let me rinse before I show you this, is that the end tabs are covered, right? So when you start to screw in the handle to lock down the blade, it's a little bit trickier. You know, it would actually be nicer if the tabs were exposed so that you could easily wiggle the blade kind of while you're tightening down. But I had no issues lining up the blade the first time. You know, with slants, it's always going to look a little weird anyway, in terms of how the blade looks on both sides. And I think you kind of just have to accept that it's going to be a little strange looking. So that was our first pass. Again, no complaints there. That felt totally fine. Felt very impressive for the cost of this razor. And then now I'm going to lather up for pass number 2, and we'll revisit this discussion in a sec. Load up for pass number 2. Okay, the second pass, we're going to go across the grain mostly. And so, as with any good shave, any good, you know, razor technique, of course you want to keep a light touch and have a good lather, things like that. But there are definitely some spots where this razor can feel a little bitey to me, and I would assume it just has to do with the kind of the inconsistency of how the razor heads are made, you know. I'm not saying that everybody's slant head is like this from Maggard, but it seems reasonable to expect some, you know, quality differences. However, I still concede the point that this is a terrific intro into slant razors for people who just want to try it out. And I think if that person has enough kind of general shaving technique prior, it might be a good recommendation for some people. However, for people who have really just started shaving, probably not. Which again, in Maggard's fairness, they do kind of warn that in the description. Like, if you've never shaved with the DE before, probably don't pick this one. All right, just checking for any spots I might have missed. To use a Michael Friedberg expression, this razor is definitely more efficient than comfortable. But because of that, you know, you can be pretty well cleaned up in just a couple passes like I just did. Yeah, feels really nice, and it's so funny. I've reviewed razors like this before, where kind of during the week, it's kind of can be, you know, I maybe had some difficult shaves with the razor, and then it gets time to do the video, and absolutely no issues. I don't think I reopened any wounds that I'd given myself prior in the week, so I think that's a big success. And who knows, maybe I just needed more time to sit with it and improve my technique. Maybe that's all it was. So I'm gonna do my final rinse and come back and talk to you over post-shave. For post-shave today and all week, I've been using Chatillon Luxe La Petite Prairie. So I don't have the matching balm or fragrance for Restore, so at the start of the week, I kind of thought, well, what are some scents I have that I could pair nicely with this? And Ben recommended himself that maybe I could do something based on the vetiver that's in the soap, right? Because the soap does have vetiver in it, and so, okay, it's not like a deep vetiver, a dank vetiver in Restore, so what's the vetiver that I have that's kind of lighter? And La Petite Prairie, right? So this is a rhubarb forward vetiver scent. It's got some citrus in there, kind of more suited for summer, honestly, but I think it pairs really nicely, and I've been happy to use that this week. So let's do a final recap. Again, the Mammoth Soap Restore. I'm happy to finally have a tub of this stuff and support the cause, you know, that Ben's working toward. And a terrific new base from them. I think I might have actually overwatered it today. Or the brush didn't pick up enough soap, something like that. But terrific base, and you won't be disappointed if you pick up a tub from him. So the brush I was mentioning, I've now decided that maybe I do need a little more backbone in this brush, and so what I'm gonna try to do first before I fully commit to resetting it is I'm gonna try an O-ring down at the bottom, which is kind of an easy way to see if you would prefer a particular knot you have with a lower loft, more backbone. So we'll be checking that out, but otherwise, really am just totally in love with this handle, and happy to have a Wolf Whiskers in the collection again. I've had one in the past, but didn't end up keeping it. And finally, the Maggard Slant on the MR11 stainless handle. Again, today, no issues. This week was a little rough. I wouldn't recommend this to somebody who's trying DE shaving for the very first time, but for kind of an intermediate person who wants to try a slant, why not? Good price, and definitely gives you the, you know, general sense of what using a slant razor is like before you commit to buying something like the Mercure 37C, which is maybe twice as much as this one, or you know, even the fine slant or the above the tie slant, which is even more expensive. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the razor. So as we get toward the end of the year here, I think this is going to be my last proper review video, full review video like this. Here before 2020 is up, I'm going to do that end of the year kind of summary highlights and perhaps a giveaway as well to go with that. And then between now and then, I have some items I need to kind of catch up on using, and so I might do kind of shorter reviews more frequently than the usual kind of long style that I do with these. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you're interested. And as usual, if you want to get in touch, leave me a comment, send me an email, Instagram, whatever suits you. And thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, this is HD Shaves. Thank you. Bye-bye.